Does Milton Friedman really oppose all health and safety regulation? Let me try this one on him. Doesn't the public have the right to know about the nutritional content of the food it buys? Obesity is a big problem in this country.
Yes, indeed.
But up until recent years, it was very tough for a dieter to pick up a package in the grocery store and figure out what the ingredients were, what the carbohydrate content is, the fat calories, and so on and so forth. So the government imposes quite modest rules for posting the nutritional values on packages in the grocery store. Now you can pick and say, this has so much fat, this has less fat, I'll buy this. Now isn't that a modest and completely acceptable government intervention?
But let's keep going.
All right.
And the government also prevents useful information from being passed on. Let me give you the simplest example.
All right.
Aspirin. You know, and I know, that you're well advised to take an aspirin every other day to reduce the danger of heart attack.
Right.
But that's not allowed to be stated on an aspirin package.
On account of?
FDA prohibits it. They control the information that can be stated on a label.
Right.
Now, there are some libertarian manufacturers of drugs who have proposed, who have tried to push through the idea that they can put on their thing, this is what the FDA says and this is what we say. Choose. And they're not being allowed to do it.
They're not even being allowed to do that.
So that if customers really wanted to know about the ingredients, it would be in the self-interest of the people producing it to put it on their packages. Those packages that had the ingredients on it would be more attractive to consumers than those that didn't. But now, it's always a mystery to me why people think that some experts in a Washington office who don't know you, don't know me, don't know our children, know better than you and I do what we want to have on our packages and what we want our children to know.
Once again, on balance, get rid of the FDA.
Absolutely.
Get rid of these government regulations.
Absolutely. The FDA initially had the requirement to assure the safety, but not the efficacy, of the drugs that they approved. With the so-called Kefauver amendments that came in as a result of thalidomide, which you brought up, the FDA expanded its mandate that it is required to assure both the safety and the efficacy of the drugs. And that has enormously raised the cost of getting drugs approved.
I see.
And if you wanted to have a halfway house, you could go back to the earlier standard where the FDA had to certify the safety, but did not have to express a judgment on the efficacy.
The FDA simply ensures that pharmaceutical companies live up to the old dictum, first do no harm.
Right.
This pill may not change your life, but it won't hurt you.
Right.
Therefore, it may be marketed.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let me move to another case, and this one I think is pretty tough, Milton, for a libertarian. All right? So you're allowed to take a deep breath before I hit you with this one if you want to. Civil rights.
What do you mean by civil rights?
By what I mean by civil rights is to take a raw case, the South, under Jim Crow, in the 1950s.
But that was a case of government, of too much government.
It
not
was?
Too little government.
But I thought the South in those days, they had relatively low tax rates, relatively low regulation.
No, but the government provided for a separation. It was the government that enforced separate areas for blacks and whites. It was the government that enforced the law that the blacks had to sit at the back of buses. Those were all government laws.
In the absence of those government laws, it wouldn't have taken place? In other words,
in the absence of government laws, you would have had a gradual development. It would have taken place somewhere and not otherwhere. And you would have, and look what happened in the North, where there weren't those government laws.
Right.
There may have been, undoubtedly, don't misunderstand me, there is prejudice. There's no question.
Right.
And undoubtedly it has bad effects on various people. But in the absence of the laws in the South, it would have broken down much faster and much earlier. That's, if you could cite any case for libertarianism, that's it.
All right.